Hello all, Shadwell here, ready to talk about the next film in my collection, Dead and Buried from 1981. It's directed by Gary Sherman and stars James Ferrantino and Melody Anderson. Like I said in the last review, I remember purchasing this film sight unseen, based only on the DVD box art being good. The wrapping had a sticker that said written by Aliens writer Dan O'Banion, and on the back it said the effects were done by Stan Winston. Good enough for me, apparently. I remember going home and immediately watching it for the first time and being very thankful that it turned out to be a pretty good film. It's all about a small-town sheriff who sets out to discover the secret behind a string of murders and deaths in his small town because they seem related in some strange way. And then there's the funeral home director who turns out to be the connection. Dead and Buried is an excellent mystery that gets more intriguing with each scene until the maddening conclusion when everything finally comes out in the open. And I gotta say, I was honestly surprised. And that's not even going into the revelation in the last few frames of this film. This film got me good. It's also a great role for Jack Albertson, who has done a lot of different things, but the two biggest things I can think of are this and being Grandpa Joe in the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Two movies, both with ampersands. I'm sure it means nothing. Dead and Buried also features Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund, in a role before the whole Freddy Krueger thing was off and running 3 years later. Always interesting to see pre-Freddy Robert Englund stuff. This movie also features a very young role for an actor named Glenn Morshower, who 20 years later would go on to play Secret Service agent extraordinaire Aaron Pierce on one of my favorite TV shows of all time, 24. I love how this movie spirals out of control as it racks up the tension going into the finale, and yet everything is controlled and no one is off the rails. I also fully appreciate the effects work done by Stan Winston, with special mention to the burned body they find in a crashed car near the beginning of the movie. Holy shit, does that jump scare get me every time I watch this movie. It never fails. Dead and Buried is a rare class act that I think snuck under a lot of radars, both back in the day and in modern times, because, with the exception of Joe Bob Briggs showing it last season on The Last Drive-In, I never hear anyone else talk about this film. And with an ending like this, you'd think it'd make a list somewhere. Oh well, I love it, which is why I'm giving it an A-, and tomorrow we move on to buckets and buckets of gore with the early Sir Peter Jackson film, Dead Alive. See y'all then.